Well, my name is Alice and I'm back today with another video for you, and this is why. Why you should not choose self-promotion as an only option. A lot of musicians say out there that, self-promotion is really good, they don't have to pay loads of money and stuff, and, they can find deals cheaper as well. However, if you think about this, musicians really should be there to write their own songs. And sometimes, by being a musician and getting caught up in feeling like you have to self-promote to save money, or, or because you think you can do a better job yourself, sometimes works against you, you know. Don't rule out companies like PR companies, booking agencies, and, even radio plugger people, because they can be the people that can help you, and even promoters. Yes, they might cost you money and, you might have to spend money on it, but a lot of people charge this money for the time that they work for, their time, and the effort put into it. It's a very difficult job to promote an artist. It takes a lot of time to promote an artist, and that is why we also charge the time. So if you think about it, if we're finding it a difficult job and a challenging job, then, musicians and band will probably do as well. What I'm trying to say is that just think about, I'm not saying self-promotion is not a good thing, because, if people want to self-promote and that's what they want to do, then that's, fair enough. But think about the other alternatives. Think about, you know, is the self-promotion going to get you where you want to be? If so, great. Or is it going to add a hindrance into you, recording your own music, doing what you need to do and stuff? And it's a little bit like, let me give you an analogy. It's a little bit like, if you pay to do a degree or do a training course, or, even do an apprenticeship. Now, lots of people say, and it is true, that people don't need education, and I partly do agree with that. These days, you don't actually need a lot of these things to get out there and to be knowledgeable. However, these things are good to have for skills, expertise, and they give you more than if you were just doing it on your own. But that's not to say that you can't do it on your own. It's like that with musicians and stuff, These things like companies, record labels, PR companies, radio pluggers, they all take the time off of you to do what you need to do with your music and stuff. So think about it more as a sort of thing for you to have a bit of a break from promotion as well and stuff, because a lot of people that I've spoken to in the music industry, especially for doing my dissertation at university, which my documentary will be out the end of June. It's called What Makes a Good Record. One person was saying to me that, that a lot of musicians, think that they have to do it themselves and goodness knows what and stuff. And really, back in the old days, musicians and bands didn't have to do all this promotion stuff at the end of the day. And if a band or musician wants to do their promotion themselves, then great. That's absolutely fine. But it's just about the fact of just thinking about, what is it that you want to focus on? Would you benefit more time from having a promoter? Would you benefit more of this from having a PR company for goodness knows what? I mean, if I was, obviously I do a bit of promoting myself for musicians and bands, but if I was an actual, say like I had a full-time job, for instance, and I decided to release a track at the end of the day, and I couldn't at the end of the day, even though I'm good at it, I couldn't promote my own single at the end of the day. I would find a promoter or a PR company or somebody to help me with, those things. Now, like I said to you back in previous videos, this is not just a case of, you contacting people and them just saying, I'll do this for X amount of money and then just not showing you results. Make sure you do actually see results. Make sure you ask questions at the end of the day. These are very important. But, if I had a chat with those companies and they were like, yes, these are results and stuff at the end of the day, or they took a fee payment and paid the rest later when results were given, then yeah, I probably would go with those companies because, you are getting those connections, to your belt at the end of the day. I think a lot of musicians and bands think, and like I said, this is just my advice and opinions, like there's no right or wrong answer here, but I think a lot of musicians and bands think to themselves that they can grow a massive following on social media, it's very difficult, unless you suddenly have this massive number one hit at the end of the day, on the radio, goodness knows what, to grow a massive following on social media and stuff. I mean, even with my social media account is not bad, it's about 2,000 people on there, but even for me, posting stuff in these videos, it's very difficult for me to grow a social media following. So all I'm trying to say here, at the end of the day, is that as a musician and as a band, don't cut off your nose to spite your face by saying that you don't want any promoters, PR companies, record labels to deal with you, because actually, in actual fact, they are giving you hidden benefits that you don't know about. And I use the analogy about the education analogy, and this is what I think to myself, and I might just do a separate video about education because, I'm sort of linking it to sort of this, but with education, you don't actually need education. But at the same time, it can enhance your skills and stuff at the end of the day. And I think that's what a lot of companies and promoters like, we are there to do at the end of the day and stuff. It doesn't mean to say that if you have a PR company or a promoter you're going to be better off. But, it's worth, at least think about giving these things a go because actually, it could enhance your views at the end of the day, get you on radio stations and stuff, and also allow you to have a bit of downtime and to focus on playing your music, which as a musician, that's the whole idea of being a musician now, I know a lot of musicians and bands like to self-promote, but like I say, please just think about the fact of don't always think self-promotion is the golden ticket to success. Thank you.